What's up, party people? So I haven't done an update about cryptocurrency in a long time. The truth is, I haven't been very interested in cryptocurrency. It seems like most of the coins or projects that I've followed have either been a scam outright, or they have almost no value. It's one or the other. I can think of specific projects that I could call out and mention on this, but I'm not really interested particularly in any one specific one so much as like the overall market and how ridiculous everything has gotten. One of the things that happened recently to me, I guess maybe I should preface this with a little bit of history. So I got into Bitcoin pretty heavily back in 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. It was my main investment focus for a while, and I was making a lot of money. And then at a point I was doing day trading and swing trading, and in fact, for most of 2017, I was averaging about $1,100 a day. That was my average. So there were days I was making 10, 15 grand. There were days that I was losing 10 or 12 grand. But my average ended up being $1,100 a day for most of 2017. I had a lot of different strategies that I was pursuing in order to succeed in that fashion. But it was definitely not mentally healthy. I was waking up at like 3 in the morning and panicking about, the price of some random garbage coin that may or may not have any long-term value. And I also just didn't like, how it was changing my overall focus in life away from music and creative processes and turning me into some kind of money bot. I did not enjoy it at all. So I kind of just stopped altogether with the crypto stuff. I just wasn't that interested, and it just kind of turned me off. The other thing is too, once you make a certain amount of money doing something, it becomes monotonous, I found. Money in general is not that interesting to me. It just strikes me as something that's like a shallow pursuit for shallow people. I know you have to have money to live, and food costs money and rent costs money and everything else. So you have to play in the money game a little bit. But for me, especially doing it kind of purely with the buying and selling and the day trading and whatnot, just didn't seem to really feel good or fit the narrative of who I wanted to be as a person. So I had to just kind of give that up. But I've still been following the market. I'm still interested in crypto on the technological side. And there's been a lot of interesting developments within the crypto space with some stuff. The DeFi movement and, kind of like the weird stillborn death of masternodes and the masternode concept, which to me clearly was a superior methodology for running crypto networks to anything that had existed prior. And yet now the masternode space is almost dead. And that was really the aspect of crypto that I was even interested in on the technology side, was masternodes. So I'm less interested technologically. I'm less interested personally, and as far as my own kind of feelings and thoughts and well-being and everything else. And also, I'm just kind of burned out too. So many of these crypto projects are scams. So many of them. Almost all of them. I've been scammed every which way. If you get in the crypto space for more than 5 minutes, you're going to get scammed like 20 different ways. There's the exit scam, is the most common one. There's also the KYC scam. That hit me a few different ways, even though I kind of saw that one coming, so I got out of it mostly. There's just so much about the crypto space that I just don't enjoy anymore. That I never did. Even when I was like doing it every day, I was on the teams, and I really thought, this is a way for us to kind of take the power back, give it to the people, decentralize the monetary system, eliminate the Federal Reserve, eliminate taxation. Crypto has the potential to do all of those things, but everybody's too complacent and too greedy and too ignorant for any of that to occur. And I don't see any parts of the situation that has created, kind of led us to that state, improving. It seems like, if anything, most of the aspects of that are a part of our reality are just getting worse, if anything. So, so yeah, I haven't been real interested in cryptocurrency. The thing that happened to me most recently that really turned me off is I was involved in the Vitae project, and I was involved in the Discord bots and staking on Discord and making it rain, the rain parties. I mean, a lot of that was really fun. I was doing a lot of that 2-3 years ago, especially connected to Social Send and the Social Send team, which I mean, that's a really interesting one to me. If you look at the Social Send project and look at kind of what they've achieved and what they've added to the platform and how they've grown and built, and then the price is just totally stagnant. It's like here's a team that's actually doing all the right moves, doing all the right stuff, and the coin just cannot gain value. And why? Why is that? Why is it that a team that's actually doing something worthwhile and putting in work and making something useful that could really alter the industry has no success? And why are all these scam coins, getting pumped like crazy and then dumping like crazy? And I mean, everybody's coming in, FOMOing in, losing all kinds of money, losing all kinds of. It's silly. The whole situation is silly, and I'm not interested anymore. So the Vitae bot, I don't know what happened. There was some kerfuffle with the bot manager from Vitae, who's a guy I met. I met a lot of these people at these cryptocurrency conferences and stuff. And there was some argument with the Vitae bot manager and the Vitae team, and to the point where a couple of their representatives kind of left in a position of being angry about stuff. In fact, some of the community managers for the Vitae team asked me to take videos down that they were in because they didn't want to promote the team anymore because they felt that something about it was scammy, or somebody was getting scammed, or there was just some kind of dishonest dealing regarding Vitae, which I never, I don't promote that kind of fear, uncertainty, and doubt unless I really know. So I haven't said anything about it. I haven't talked about it. I don't know if I took those videos down or not, but they asked me to. I don't remember now. And I just really haven't had time. And I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's not like people are going back and watching my crypto videos from 3 years ago. So I don't really see how it matters one way or the other. Man, it got windy out here for a second. A little less windy over here. So yeah, I haven't been real motivated to do anything about it or work with any of it in any way. And but then I thought, I still have some assets. I mean, they're pretty piddling now. I've pretty much gotten out of crypto altogether because of the scams and the chaos and just how disheartening it is. I mean, when there's a project that's actually doing something worthwhile and not a scam, they just get no attention. They get no patronage. The price doesn't go up. And then when there's some kind of obvious, like legitimate, ridiculous scam, it just goes through the roof and everybody's going nuts. I mean, name the project that has succeeded wildly in the public imagination, and they've almost all been scams. Almost all of them. All of these exchanges are scams. All of them. They're gonna take your money, lose your money, use your money against you, betting against you. There's just nothing good or positive or of value in the crypto space today, in 2020. It's October 2020, and I lost interest, not because I got wrecked. I actually saw what was coming, and I played the market very, very wisely and carefully, and exited on top, for the most part. A couple little things here and there, I definitely got, like I said, I've been scammed like everybody else in the space. But anyway, back to the Vitae story. So I had some Vitae still on Discord that I was using for, rain parties or whatever. And then suddenly the Vitae bot didn't work for like months at a time. And then I thought, oh well, no big deal. I'll just, I'm sure they'll sort it out at some point, and I'll come back and find those coins or whatever. And so I hit up somebody that I knew from the Vitae team, and I said, hey, how do I, what's going on? Like, where's the Discord bot? Where are the coins at? And they said, oh, you got to go through this process or whatever. And they sent me a link. I clicked the link. I clicked the link again. I clicked the link again. I don't know. There was this thing that it's like one of those things where you have to keep clicking next. I hit next 3 or 4 times, and suddenly I lost a third of all the Vitae tokens I had. A third of the tokens that I had. Again, I mean, when you look at my overall history of crypto, et cetera, this is very, very, very small potatoes. But it's just one of those things where it's like to wake up in the morning and to go through a process where you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to go, recover my assets and maybe move them somewhere else or maybe do something else. And suddenly to be wiped out of a third of them because they had an argument with their bot developer or something. I don't know. I'm not doing the research. I'm not doing the interviews. I'm not calling the people. I'm not talking to the people. I don't care to hear all the sides of the story. I don't care to hear who thinks who's a scammer. I don't care to hear who didn't show up and do their job. I don't care. I don't care. The net result is myself as an enthusiast and an end user got ripped off. Got ripped off a whole lot of tokens. And for what? Why? To fund further development of some new bot where I'm sure they're going to have some kind of run-in again and lose all their assets and have a fight, and that's going to be worthless too. It's like, why am I'm no longer promoting crypto in any way, shape, or form. I do recommend getting out of the United States dollar. The way the Federal Reserve is just printing money nonstop, if you are holding dollars, you are insane, in my opinion, at this point. Real estate is way overvalued. If anybody holding any kind of real estate, you're insane. Get out of real estate. There's no way we're not headed for a massive real estate crash. Gold and silver, you actually have to hold the stuff. You actually have to physically hold the stuff. So now you're talking about you're going to need a safe, you're going to need a gun, you're going to need like a lot of things to make that kind of an investment that's kind of worthwhile and realistic in a safe way for you. Stocks are ludicrous. Every single stock is overinflated. It's this whole stock market is a Ponzi scheme of garbage. And so for me, just investing in general has not been interesting in any way. I'm not going to invest in these giant corporations who are doing everything they can to murder all life on the planet for profit. It gets even sillier when you look at some things like the petroleum industry. They're still investing in fracking. Fracking has never been profitable, not once. There's no way to make fracking profitable. It costs too much to do. Oil would have to be like $500 a barrel or something ridiculous in order for fracking to be profitable. It's not possible to make fracking profitable. And still, the entire investment industry, Wall Street, everybody else, they're still just pouring money into these oil companies thinking that at some point the fracking is going to turn a profit. It's never going to turn a profit. You are just throwing your money away. Now, because other people are throwing their money away right behind you, could inflate the stock price so you can make money and get out before them or whatever, but you're still going to leave all these bag holders behind you just getting ripped off. So it's very disheartening if you were at all interested in stocks, bonds, investment, cryptocurrency, real estate, precious metals. All of it it's either a scam or it's super complicated and a pain in the ass, and none of it is deriving value or happiness or human health in any way. Quite the opposite. It's all super unhealthy to be involved in at this point. So for those of you who were wondering what happened to the Rise Master No News, who were wondering what my play was with crypto, whether I got into the DeFi space, whether I'm trying to do exchanges or play with tokens or any of that kind of stuff, now you know the truth. I am just 0% interested in any of it because it is such an egregious, sad type of lunacy. The whole industry is, and it's been that way for maybe since inception. I don't even know. We still don't know for sure. It's probably Dave Kleiman, but we don't know for sure who Satoshi was. And we also don't know for sure um, whether Bitcoin wasn't like some kind of government project. And now with the Federal Reserve saying they're going to switch to a digital currency, probably some kind of cryptocurrency where they're going to track every transaction. They're going to track every transaction. You go to the coffee shop, they're going to know. You go buy bottled water, they're going to know. Anything you do with currency is going to be tracked by the government. That's where they're heading. They put the patents out. They've been escalating every aspect of that for a while now. Was Bitcoin like an experiment by the CIA from the get-go? I don't know. I mean, it certainly could have been. We just don't know. There's probably no chance that we're ever going to know. Was Dave Kleinman murdered? We don't know. Was it just a normal traffic accident, or did something worse happen? We honestly don't know. And what was Craig Wright's involvement? Who are all these other players? Have any of them been bad actors working for government or corporations the entire time? We don't know. And frankly, at this point, it really doesn't matter, because regardless of how we got to where we are today, you can look around at where we are today, and this is garbage. It's all garbage. The entire crypto space is garbage. All of the cryptocurrency projects are either a scam or have no value. I have a friend who's a cryptocurrency investor who's been very into it from the beginning, and he's still like really hopeful. He's like, the SEC said this was illegal, so like they changed all the projects to avoid that. But I mean, it's like this whack-a-mole that we're playing with big government corporations, where they have all the holes and like infinite boppers. So it's like the whack-a-mole. We're never going to get ahead of them. There's not going to be any of this Robin Hood scenario where we're going to be able to get out from underneath the Federal Reserve and the corruption of the global economy. I mean, all of this is garbage, and it's sad. It's sad because this whole space had so much potential for disruption, for decentralization, for really making the world a better place, and for making the markets fair and free, and making investment a thing that people could do to help them retire and invest in things they believed in that were going to make the world a better place. I mean, these were all things that had potential and possibility, and none of them have come true because giant banks, giant moneyed interests have come in and just destroyed everything. When you talk about the Federal Reserve, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, I mean, it's the usual players, Jamie Dimon, it's all the usual players. They've been doing the same thing for 30, 40, 50, 100 years. And they're still doing it. They're just trying to extract every little bit of capital they can out of the common man, out of the poor, out of every system. And they've been able to do it very successfully because they've rigged the game against everyone else. They buy senators, they buy congressmen, in every country too, not just in the US, but like all over the world. They corrupt all the governments, they change all the rules to advantage them and make this kind of corruption not only legal, but inevitable. And so yeah, it's I'm not overall disheartened about the future or the potential of humanity and that kind of stuff. It's like I'm not really depressed on a lot of levels, but I am very depressed specifically about the cryptocurrency market and about the way that it has been absolutely co-opted and corrupted by big government and money, as we should have seen coming. I mean, it was very obvious to me. Now they're saying any kind of privacy coin is just is money laundering for giant cartels. What cartels? Are there really that many people doing illegal drugs that like all privacy coins have to do with money laundering? It's just like, what a crazy narrative, I mean, you might as well say all cash is involved in money laundering. It's like the same kind of thing. It's like, okay, some cash is being involved in money laundering, guaranteed. Some privacy coins are being involved in money laundering, guaranteed. But to assume that just if you have any kind of privacy at all, it's definitely money laundering, I mean, that's ridiculous, If I enter into a verbal agreement with a friend of mine for something, that's not necessarily money laundering. It could be like, hey, I needed help, fixing a kitchen counter. This guy's a tile guy. He came in and did the tile. I gave him the money. I didn't want to talk about it with, all these other people, all these other players. I want to get other people involved. I mean, what a giant pain in the ass. That's the thing. All of this has become a pain in the ass because the IRS is so hell-bent on discovering any kind of penny you've ever made so they can get their little piece of it, so they can build more robots to murder children in the third world. We could be in a much better place than we are. And it's very disappointing that everybody's greed, ignorance, and hubris have led us to be in the exact same place we were before the invention of crypto. There's no fundamental difference between the stock market in 1980 and the cryptocurrency market in 2020. It's like 40 years later, we're dealing with the same corrupt players, doing the same pump and dump schemes. It's all, there's no difference. They just took that playbook and applied it to a whole new industry. And there's some differences, but none of them are really materially important in any way. It's all cosmetic. The robber this time was wearing a pink mask instead of a green mask. It's like that's the difference. It's the same heist, the same people doing the heist, the same plan of action for the heist. The only difference is, they're wearing a slightly different color outfit or something. That's where we're at now in 2020. So that's what I'm up to with crypto and all that stuff. I'm not really motivated to do anything with any kind of money at this point. As I said, I was very successful for a time doing it, and it's certainly possible to make profit, but the profit you're going to make is going to be the expense of other people who are more ignorant than you, slower than you, in the wrong time zone. Sometimes you are advantaged just by being in a certain time zone. Living in California on the Pacific and being kind of awake while the New York Stock Exchange was still up, and like being able to stay awake as the Chinese markets opened up, that made it very easy to arbitrage different currencies and make a lot of money doing that. But to what end? Just so I could screw the bag holders behind me, or help some giant corporation with their pump and dump scheme in some way. It's like, none of that feels good. None of that feels good. None of the profits I've made, none of the gains that I've gotten feel like this like positive thing that I've been helping humanity with in the crypto space. Different in music space, different with open airships. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm doing that is very positive, and I'm working on it, and I'm making big strides, and it's a positive, it's a win-win for all people involved. But that is just not the case in the crypto sphere, cryptocurrency sphere. So that's why I haven't been doing anything with cryptocurrency for the last 2 years. I haven't been doing much. Like I said, I kind of went through and kind of found some of my old assets and figured about whether I was going to liquidate those or move them or put them in some place where whether it'd be safer. But at this point, I've been out of it so long, most of it's not really worth anything anyway. So it's, the time involved, is it worth, in my regular line of work, I'm making between $50 and $100 an hour. So for me, anything I'm going to do needs to make $50 to $100 an hour. That's just, otherwise it's not profitable. I should just pick up an extra shift at work, So, when I'm moving around some of these cryptocurrencies now, it's like, it's $200 of some garbage coin I bought in 2015, that I'm still holding $200 worth of, even though at one point it was worth $2,000 or $200,000, then it was worth $20, now it's worth $200 again. It's like, none of this matters. I definitely bought almost all these, different coins and tokens at a low cost. So, I'm probably in profit even regardless of how the market's fluctuated at this point on most of them. But what am I going to do with them? Am I going to keep moving them from server to server, trying to, update wallets? And is that going to keep me in profit when you look at the $50 to $100 an hour wage that I make for most of what I do for my normal job? No, there's no way that moving $200 worth of some garbage coin from one server to the other is going to be profitable when you subtract my wage out of it, which is $50 to $100 an hour. There's just no way that's going to be valuable. So I'm not doing it anymore. It's not worth it. I liquidated a few things, put them in a locked Bitcoin trust for my kids because of my situation with that. I should probably post a video about that too. Rule 58, interesting rule regarding my ongoing custody battle with my ex-wife, who just wants money. That's the other thing that's interesting about money to me is My ex-wife has not let me be involved in my children's lives for almost 3 years. Like, not 100%. I mean, I keep getting these rulings in my favor, but she keeps violating the rulings and the orders, and almost nobody cares. And again, it all has to do with money. I mean, I used to make close to $200,000 a year. Her new husband makes like 50 grand a year. What do you think she's after? Do you think she really is like worried that I'm like a physical threat to my kids, or do you think she's just like not gonna let me have the kids until she gets a bunch of money? What do you think's really going on here? I think we know what's really going on here. And the simple fact is, after 3 years of parental alienation, she will never get 1 penny out of me for any reason whatsoever. Not a penny. This is not happening. I could make $1,100 every minute, and I would not pay her 1 red cent. Not a penny. Sorry, 3 years you stole of my children's childhood without their father. So you'll never get a penny, ever, for anything. Ever. Ever. I will go to any extreme to ensure that you never get 1 penny. Any extreme. So that's just happening. And it's ironic too, because I mean, she was so worried about money, and I mean, I was making like, yeah, what is that, $40,000 a month or something at one point, and she was all worried about money, and then like not letting me see my own children. So I'm like, well, maybe you should have thought about what was good for the kids rather than your own greedy little purse strings. Anyway, I don't know. I'm going off topic now. But yeah, for me, at this point, I'm no longer interested in cryptocurrency, really. If a project comes along that's truly decentralized, that's truly private, that truly has the ability to withstand any kind of government manipulation, extortion, taxation, anything like that, then maybe I'll get back involved. But I mean, at this point, right now, it's just a new series of hype scamming, and I mean, the whole DeFi space. It's like we watched the DeFi space play out almost exactly like every other part of the cryptocurrency market, as we've been going from 2008 to now. Right, 12 years we've had the cryptocurrency market from the invention of Bitcoin, and we've seen the same thing happen over and over and over again. Bad actors come in, they just flood the market with money. They wait till everybody else FOMOs in, and they pull out and crash the whole market and make that profit on all the bag holders who came in behind them. That's the pump and dump thing is like, that's the main scam. Then there's the exit scam, the KYC scam. There's so many different scams. It's almost impossible that one of them isn't going to occur with any project. It doesn't really matter. I mean, even if the devs have like these great intentions, they want to fix the world, they want to make the world a better place, regardless of any of that, none of that matters. Because in the end, it's inevitable that JP Morgan, the federal government, the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, all these bad actors are going to come in and manipulate the market and force everybody into either out of profit, or to force them into capitulating and paying up more money that they made in profit in taxation, so that they're not in profit. That's the scam too. I mean, the SEC, I think they said they want 30% for any profits you made in crypto. 30%. So you'd have to 2x any of your holdings to stay in profit and pay taxes. And like, it's completely unclear how they're like tracking that, how they're even gonna try and find anybody who's made that kind of money. I mean, it's impossible, if you ask me. Even if you look at the fact that these coins aren't privacy coins, you're following private addresses and go through a hired accountant and go through the blockchain and actually look at every single transaction. It's like, we were talking about years of work for, like, in my situation, like if they came after me, they wouldn't get anything. I don't have any assets. I've spent them all on lawyers and moving and just trying to see my own children. I spent every penny. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars I've spent. For what at this point? How has any of this benefited anyone? I mean, I guess somebody's gotten benefited. I mean, obviously, whoever made the Vitae bot that just robbed me for so many tokens, like it was my fault. There was an altercation with the previous Vitae bot manager or the Vitae team or whatever was going on there. Why am I being taxed a third of my holdings because of their altercation? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, imagine another scenario where then there's two parties arguing over somebody else's assets, and then all of a sudden a significant portion of your assets are gone. It's like, I never agreed to that, and they're like, oh, well, you have to click agree, right? Okay. Any of these things, next, right? Of course, we're just gonna hit next. We're not gonna read the thing, right? So they're saying, oh, I agreed to it because I clicked next. I'm like, I never agreed to this. This is a theft. And not that it really matters. We're talking about inconsequential, small, piddling amounts of money. But once again, it has soured my taste for the entire industry. It has soured my taste for the entire human race. We are all greedy, selfish, pathetic, insecure, weak, corrupt individuals out here trying to look out for ourselves with little thought about the greater good or about where we want to take society in the future, where we want to move things forward. It's none of it's positive. And it didn't have to be this way. It could have been very different. There was a moment there in the cryptocurrency space where the good actors were trying to do good things, and it's the relentless, continued pressure by bad actors in the economic sector. It's like the big banks, the Federal Reserve, all of these kind of actors. They will extract every penny out of any industry. It really doesn't matter. You could say, oh, we're going to start the organic farming collective, some kind of blockchain-based food sharing, no profit, no anything. We're growing radishes. We're going to give our radishes to a neighbor. We're going to get their grapes or whatever. It doesn't matter. If there's a way in there, J.P. Morgan, Federal Reserve, the IRS, Goldman Sachs, all these big players will get in there and they will take anything they can from you, from your family, from your kids, and they'll take it and they'll just put it right into some garbage like fracking, which has never been profitable. It cannot be profitable. And they're still throwing money at it, completely destroying the water table in like all kinds of locations all over the world for something that's never going to turn a profit. It's so the bag holders that come in behind and say, oh, there's money being made here, let us throw our money in there. And it's like, and they're going to do the same thing. Oh, here's the cup, nothing under the cup, empty cup. It's the same Ponzi shell game that we've seen time and time again. And I don't see a way out of this until everybody refuses to use government currency. Hard stop. Just refuses to use any kind of government currency. That's where we need to be headed. I believe that's what Jesus was saying in the book of Matthew when he said, give Caesar, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. I believe that's exactly what he was saying. He was saying, do not use government currency. I read that chapter of the Bible. Not that I, archaeologically believe in the history of the Bible, where it came from and everything. It's pretty clear to me that it's based on much older texts from previous civilizations that have wiped out the Assyrians, the Egyptians, etc. From 20, 30, 40,000 years ago in the past that we don't even know about because, the planet's had so many cataclysms since then. The Younger Dryas extinction event being a huge one, happened about 11, 12,000 years ago. Anyway, regardless, I believe that the ethics behind a lot of that, however that came from, or however that history lesson matriculated down to us now, we recognize it now as it being in the Bible, but the ethics behind, I think, what Jesus was saying was render unto Caesar what is Caesar's is very clear. Do not use government currency at all for anything. That's what I think. And until we get to a place where everybody's willing to do that, willing to just stop using Federal Reserve notes or whatever the equivalent is in your country, euros, lira, yen, yuan, whatever, pesos, until we stop using all forms of government currency, I think we're going to always be under the jackboot of these giant corporations and bad actors in our own corrupt governments. And that's certainly true with the crypto market. So at this point, I cannot advise anybody to get in at all. I mean, if you want to hodl a little bit of Bitcoin or something on a private wallet that you hold the keys to, that could be a smart play maybe I mean, smarter than holding Federal Reserve notes, which you should be getting out of altogether. How are you going to get that crypto? You're going to throw somebody else Federal Reserve notes, paper money, to buy it? You're going to mine it yourself? That's not profitable. It hasn't been profitable for a decade at least. You know, unless you happen to live on the Three Gorges Dam and own a ton of assets that you can put together some kind of